There she is. She's a beaut. It's one of the first new cars I've ever bought, and I love it. But today we're going to be talking about the Ram EcoDiesel. The EcoDiesel. Don't get too used to it because you'll be swapping it out frequently. And if you're watching this, one of two things has either happened: you have bought one of the worst mistakes of your life, or you're thinking about getting ready to. So let's talk about it, go over some fun facts, and see if I can help you out with your buying decision. All right, so whenever I bought this thing, I was looking for something that would be able to pull a camper. That was my expectations, and Dodge had said that this engine was just great, it could pull so much weight, and I did mainly research on how much it could pull, what kind of camper, and got excited on the camper side of things instead of how the engine actually was. All right, so a little bit of history about this beast is back in 2006, 2008, Cadillac was going to put it in one of their cars. It ended up falling through and they didn't use it. So then whenever the Chrysler Corporation and Fiat Corporation merged, making FCA, Chrysler wanted to be one of the first companies to put a diesel engine in the 1500 truck in the USA. So that is how we ended up getting the Ram EcoDiesel. The only problem with that is it's a horrible engine. Now on paper, this thing looks great. It can haul a ton and it gets great fuel mileage. The only problem is the engines don't hold up. Mine, I ended up getting 103,000 miles out of this engine before it ended up spinning a bearing and the engine was shot. It was Easter Day last year. We were on our way home from our families, and I got a light that came on and it said that I had low oil pressure. So I pulled over to see what was going on. The engine sounded perfect. I couldn't hear anything. So I put it back in drive and we took off, started going again. The only problem is as soon as we took off, started going again, you could hear the knocking. There was no oil pressure, there was no oil getting to the top, and it was just ruining the engine. So we shut it off, we had it towed. They towed it to the dealership here, and whenever they did the oil change on it, they said that there was just metal shavings all in the oil. So the engine was shot. This is our second one. I think I'm up to about 10,000 miles on this one so far. I really have no faith anymore on how long I'm gonna go. And the big kicker is it had 103,000 miles on it whenever it went, and the manufacturer's warranty goes out at 100,000. And they refuse to cover it. So $15,000 later, I've got a new engine in my truck that I don't trust it's gonna last very long. So with these engines, they say that oil changes are critical. You have to use the right kind of oil and different things like that. There's a certain way to do the oil changes. This truck's only been serviced at the dealership with the recommended oil used every single time. So I don't necessarily believe that. If I were you, I would probably strongly suggest staying away from this engine. I guess some of the pros is it does get great fuel mileage. I get around 25 miles a gallon on the interstate. Whenever it works, the engine runs great. It pulls anything I've ever hooked up to it, and I've never had any issues like that. The only thing is whenever it goes, it goes. It's catastrophic failure. The other downside to it, and there's been a lot of people that have complained about this, is that whenever you go to accelerate, there's a delay and when it actually takes off, which is really, really annoying because you'll take off from a stop sign or take off from anywhere, and it takes the truck a few seconds before it actually gets going, which is pretty annoying. But they said that it was due to all the restrictions that they keep putting on the engine. There was a reprogramming, I think it was a few years back, and they whenever they did the reprogramming, there was a bunch of customers that complained about how horrible or how lagging the truck is now. Those are just a few things. Other than that, it's a typical Ram truck, and It's a great truck. I love everything about the truck, except for the engine. The engine, I'm just waiting for it to blow up again. So it's one of the downfalls on that one. I know it's not a lot, but that's about all I have on the EcoDiesel. It's not a loud truck. They have a lot of insulation on top of the engine to keep it from being too loud. So it's pretty quiet whenever you drive on the interstate and things like that. Now my truck, it's got a fuel cell in the bed, so I can get around 78 gallons of fuel every time I fill up. So I can get about 1,800 miles on one fill up, which is pretty nice. So that's what I have on the Ram 1500 EcoDiesel. Mine's a 2016, so just do a little bit of research. There's a ton out there, and figure out exactly what you're getting yourself into before you jump all in this thing. I know that FCA does have a class action lawsuit against them because of this engine. I'm not sure the exact outcome as of right now. I know it was a pretty recent class action lawsuit. But yeah, just do a little research, figure out what you got going on, and stay tuned for the next episode of Woldoff's Garage.